r/NoSleep. Posted by u/JJX. My town is afraid of the rain. I found out why. This happened about 12 hours ago. I recently moved to a small remote town with a population of around 2,000 or so. While moving in, I decided to introduce myself to some of my neighbors as I didn't want to be labeled as a rude or weird neighbor. With going around the first 3 doors, they all shunned me away and slammed the door in my face. With kinda being annoyed, I decided to go back and unpack some of my stuff. I would say around 5:30ish I got done with unpacking all the important things and decided to take a break and watch TV and start early on looking for a job. While turning on the TV I continued my search for a job until the TV turned to static and went black. About 15 seconds after the TV went black, loud sirens started blasting. The sirens were so loud to the point I had to use my hands to cover them up. The sirens lasted about 45 seconds before finally shutting themselves off. As then my TV turned itself on. A man in a red and gold suit appeared on my TV screen. His brown hair slicked back by his hair gel and had a worried look to his face. Code Rain CC3. I repeat, Code Rain CC3. This is not a drill. I repeat, this is not a drill. All residents lock all doors and windows immediately. Do not let anybody in. Do not leave the safety of your home. Military personnel will handle the situation. Please refrain from using loud devices. Wait for further instructions. As the man in the suit repeated the same lines over and over, the sirens started blaring louder than before. I was confused. What the hell is a Code Rain CC3? And as of now there isn't any rain. I was soon cut off by loud thunder and loud thumps on my rooftop. As I stood up, I walked over toward my window and peeped out of it. As I checked outside, the rain battered against the street and the fog made it hard to see as the streets were completely empty. Closing the blinds back, I walked back towards my couch and sat back down. Checking my phone, I had no service and no signal bars. I decided to take a small nap in hopes the situation will solve itself by the time I wake up. I was awakened by a demonic high-pitched scream outside. I quickly shot up, heart pounding, and slowly walked toward my window. I peeped outside my window and it felt like my stomach dropped to the floor. A young lady, I would say in her early 20s, running and tripping and eventually tripped and slipped into a puddle. All the while the young lady is screaming her head off. Help me. Somebody please help me. As she tried getting up, the thing that was chasing her came into view. A grayish humanoid that I could describe as a stretched out limbless human. It creepily crawled toward the young lady. To my horror the creature's jaw, oh god, its jaw was long and jagged to the point it dragged along underneath the creature. It made its way closer toward the young lady as she desperately tried crawling away. I made a split-second decision and unlocked my door and yanked it open, causing the creature and the girl to stop in their tracks. Over here, I yelled at the girl as I motioned for her to run to me. As I distracted the creature long enough for the girl to quickly and run over towards my house. The creature, frustrated as it was losing its food, let out a demonic ear-splitting scream. The girl was about 70 feet from my front porch. Multiple footsteps came from my roof as the girl screamed as another humanoid creature jumped off my roof and onto the girl, causing both of them to fall toward the ground. She tried getting back to her feet, but another humanoid pounced onto her and started eating her alive. My body froze in fear as 2 more came running towards her and made a small pile, ripping the flesh off her body. As one of them turned their sights onto me, my body tensed up and I couldn't move my body. As I tried to gain control of myself I just couldn't. It made its way to me slowly like it was savoring the moment. Its deep eye holes filled with darkness and razor-sharp teeth. It grinned as it came closer and closer, the red dot on its face flashed and throbbed. I quickly got control back and as it jumped toward me I slammed the door and heard a loud thud. The creature threw itself and clawed at the door for hours. Now I'm starting to hear more of them grouping outside on my porch. I'm scared, it feels like it's never gonna end. I wish I could have helped her out more but I couldn't. I was too scared. I felt guilty. I stood there and watched her get eaten alive. I couldn't do anything to help her, as those things ripped her shreds. I stood there helplessly as she screamed for help. I felt like I was to blame for her brutal and tragic death. Only if I opened the door sooner, or maybe I ran out there to help her, she'll probably be here still. I couldn't get that out of my head. It taunted me for hours on edge. It didn't help as the things kept banging and clawing at my door. I waited. And waited more. Those things, or whatever you want to call them, were still on my porch circling around my front door. It was like they could sense me moving around inside the house, cause every time I would check outside one was standing in front of the door. The rain wasn't making things easier as it rained for what felt like an entirety. All I could hear were low raspy demonic growls and the loud drumming of heavy rain against my roof. Looking through my peephole, I saw the same humanoid creature that almost gotten inside my house, sitting in front of my door with I can only describe as hellish grin on its disoriented face as it stared at the door. It stood there blankly as its white sharp teeth covered in blood faced my peephole. I slowly crept into my kitchen arming myself with the biggest knife I had. I feared that they would break into and tear me limb from limb, so if I was going down, I wouldn't make it easy for them. With the knife in hand, I peeked through my peephole one last time as the stood still as a statue on my porch. After 10 seconds of staring at the creature, 7 big explosion sounds came from about 4 blocks away. Turning their heads in unison, all 6 of the creatures bolted off my porch into the direction of the explosions, making inhuman noises as they ran. As the heavy rain started subsiding into light rain, it was easier to see. Deciding to take this as a chance to escape, I slowly opened my door and ran out my home, leaving my front door open. Unfortunately, I passed the young lady's mutilated corpse. All that was left was her bones and scalp. God help us. Sprinting faster, more explosions and gunshots rang off as demonic high-pitched screams let out. Getting farther down the street, I would occasionally look back to see if the streets were still empty. Thankfully at the moment they were. As then a loud scream came from behind me. As I quickly turned my head into the direction the scream came from. Another one of those things, it was limping toward me. Its body covered in bluish-black scales and its head was pushed in. Its long claws dragged against the road. With my heart pounding, I ran faster, but no matter how hard I ran it was still behind me. While running, I tripped over myself and fell to the ground hard. With trying to get back up, I felt something heavy and hard slash against my back. With something warm rolling down my back, the pain hit me like a freight train. Trying not to scream, I picked myself back up and quickly started running while holding my back. As I pushed myself to keep running, the creature still followed pursuit. As the pain got too much for me, I fell onto the ground, clenching my back and biting my lip in pain. The creature still made its way toward me. As the rain started to subside more into a light drizzle, my back ached and throbbed as it started bleeding out more. The creature, while licking its claws, it started growling in a deep twisted way. As I tried to crawl away, it still got closer to me, dragging its claws against the ground, making a scarping noise as it walked. In a last attempt to stay alive, I grabbed the large knife and embedded it deep into its neck. Black and orange goo sprayed out of its neck wound as it screamed in pain. With the creature distracted, I mustered all my strength and picked myself back up and started fast walking down the street. Tripping and stumbling, I managed to catch myself, but I grew tired and wanted to give in. The creature, screaming in rage, picked up its pace and followed a couple of feet away from me. As I tried running, my back only burned more and more blood ran down my back. I felt weak in my knees and my heart racing as it got closer to me. As I dropped onto the ground in exhaustion, I tried crawling away, but the creature slammed its foot against my back, causing me to scream in pain. As it raised its sharp claws in the air, I shut my eyes and laid my chin on the cold, wet ground. All my mind could do was play the events of the girl screaming and begging for help. I couldn't let it go. As I laid there willing to accept the brutal death that awaited me, 4 loud bangs came from behind me and felt the pressure of the creature's weight lift off me as a loud thud came after the shots. A female's voice called out as I slowly crawled in the direction of the voice. Help me please, I groaned in pain as my back only gotten worse and more blood gushed from my wound. Don't move or we will shoot, as a different voice yelled out. Opening my eyes, I saw that they had their guns trained on me, ready to pull the trigger. One of the female had long gray hair while the other had short black hair. The older woman's face had a serious expression, while the younger lady had a shocked and scared expression. Please, I'm not one of them. I'm still human, please, I begged as the elderly turned to the younger woman. The old lady cocked her shotgun back, as her knuckles turned white as she had her finger on the trigger ready to shoot. The younger lady sat her gun down as she carefully walked toward me and helped me up to my feet. Throwing my arm over her neck, she helped me make my way toward the porch. Try anything funny, and I will personally make you suffer until you die. Understand? She, while slowly opening the front door. Take him inside, and tell Sarah to grab the first aid kit. He's lost a lot of blood already and from the looks of it he might not make it.